Hi, I'm Dan Whittaker. Today I've been joined by one of my students, Nico. We're here today to discuss the idea of what is commonly been called online the reverse K setup. It was popularised a little bit through Jeff Jones in his thread on GolfWorks. We're here today to actually discuss what the elements of this setup are from 4 different ways. We're going to have a look at why it's the best way for the golf swing, why it's the most efficient for the body, why it's the best way for the neural pathways in the body to be able to transmit the messages, and fourthly, from a scientific study perspective from Stanford University, we're going to have a look from their viewpoint as well. First of all, I'm going to get Nico to just turn around and just to, we can have a look at his spine. As he stood here normally without a golf swing position, just one moment, just stand up for me. We would see here, in standard address position, it's not standard walking around, everyday position, his spine beautifully straight here. I'm sure you can all see this. And we can see here that the shoulders and the hips are at 90 degrees to that spine. So this means that when he walks around from the front view here, so looking down the body there, or from the rear view here, the spine is straight up and down. Now just take hold of it in a standard address position for me please, Nico. Now what we see is, from the standard address position here, we see that the hips have still stayed level like we would be walking around the street. But the shoulders have become angled right here. So when they become angled, the top of the spine is at 90 degrees to the angle, yet the bottom of the spine is 90 degrees to this. So this means there is some give in this spine. So in other words, this is what creates a lot of high right hip positions in people's golf swings. When they turn back from here, this right hip's wanting to work up this way. The right knee's slightly outwards, but also the body's going to try and give way, because the body will always do something to get itself back in line. Technically, it's an out of line condition ever created by the body is trying to get itself back in line. Now Nico, if you can just slide this right hip down for me into our address position. Okay, we can now see that Nico has got the hips and the shoulders on the same angle as one another. So they are both at 90 degrees to the spine. This is then going to allow him to make a very efficient turn. What it does is it also has the effect of kicking the right thigh in, so that's at 90 degrees to the floor, and put some pressure on the instep of the right foot. Okay, relax yourself a moment for me please, Nico. What other thing it does is when that hip goes down, we also see that this hip socket goes over the ankle. This then means we don't have very far to travel in the through swing to get over the left pivot point, therefore to be able to unwind through the shot. So it takes away a lot of the need for a lot of the lateral shifting that we see people generally having in their transition. Now, Nico's going to set up to it from the front view for us, just here a moment, and he's going to show us a little drill. Just do that clap hands for me please, Nico, just there a second. We see the shoulders, hips, knees, hands are all parallel to the ground and parallel to one another. Now he's going to slide the right hip, shoulder, knee, everything, hand, all's going to go down. Watch the left side go up and we'll see the head move to the right. Just do that for me now please, Nico. Hands together. So now he's in a great address position with the body angled behind the ball. So this is going to be the most efficient position to allow himself to turn back and through the shot without having excess movement. Now, we're going to just do a physical test here, okay, and show what happens during the golf swing in terms of loss of power from the old standard address position. So, Nico, I'd like you to take the standard address position for me with the hips level to the ground, not with them at the same angle as the spine. Okay, now I'm going to take Nico to take his left hand off, okay, and I want him to pinch his right index finger and thumb together, creating a circle as tight as he possibly physically can and as strong as he can. So the hips are level and the shoulders are in the standard address position. Now, I'm going to put my 2 fingers in here, I'm going to pull this apart as tight as I can. You hold this pretty strong for me?
No.
Okay, watch this. This was pulled apart fairly easily from me. Now, you may think that well, this isn't showing as much. Well, let's get you into the standard, the new address position with the hips and shoulders on the right angle. Okay, now we're going to do the same test. Okay, we see here, I'm trying pretty hard here, and I can barely move them. Now, if we can create an extra movement of power in two joints as small as these two together, imagine what loss of power is happening through the body. Now, this is happening through a loss of spinal flexion, because what we're doing is we're compressing the spine when we keep the hips level and the shoulders at an angle. This then creates what's called the startle position for the body. In other words, if somebody came towards you to hit you or jump you or scare you, your body would tend to cower away. So in other words, when you create an extra angle in the body that shouldn't be there, you are losing power. So therefore losing efficiency and losing correct movement. We saw that there very easy on that very, very simple test with Nico, how much power he lost between two small joints like this. So we can only imagine how much power would be lost on the golf swing if you didn't have the hips and shoulders angled correctly, therefore having the spine there. Now, lastly, recently, Stanford University just did a test on human kinetics. Okay, and what they've done is they have come up with lots of different studies, and they've got different names for things. They've got an S factor and an O factor. It's called shoulder obliquity and pelvic obliquity. And now, what they were having a look at, they were looking at the power transmitted through the floor and also into the club head for efficiency and maximum club head speed and power. And what they found was the greater the angle of the left hip and left shoulder up at impact was, the greater the club head speed was, therefore the greater the power, therefore the greater the distance. They also found out that having the hips angled with the left hip up created the most efficient movement in the golf swing. Also, the most maximum power was generated, therefore everything could start to happen at impact. So having a look here at this setup, where people had often said to me, oh well, I don't see many people setting up in this, whereas now we've got some studies out here that are shown from the scientific perspective. We're showing it from the golf swing in terms of efficiency, how quickly we can get back over the left pivot point once we're on these great angles. We're then showing it from a strength perspective, which we just saw very easily there. And lastly, we're showing it from our biomechanics perspective, that our spine wants to be straight up and down here. It doesn't want to be twisted, because if it did, that's how we would walk around in everyday life. We instead want to be walking around like this. So it's going to show that we're able to discuss different areas of the golf swing and the theories, but we're able to cover it from many different avenues. I do hope you've enjoyed this description and this small bit of a discussion, and with Nico's thanks for him coming along, allowing me to do some demonstrations with him. If you'd like to see some more from myself, you can on my site at dan@danwhitakergolf.com, or you can visit my website danwhitakergolf.com. If you want to email me or visit the site, it'd be great, and we look forward to visiting with you again soon. Thanks a lot.